From Black. Another week, another new film dropped onto Shudder. I love Shudder. They don't sponsor me, but maybe someday. This one is actually a pretty interesting film, but maybe not for all the right reasons. From Black features decent acting, a slow pace that introduces plenty of metaphors and messages, and even harbors a couple of interesting twists. Unfortunately, it is way too similar to a different movie that I feel probably did all of this much better. But as usual, I'm getting ahead of myself. What even is this movie, and what does From Black even mean? Well, let's get into it. This is a slow burn drama following a recovering drug addict 7 years after the disappearance and loss of her 5-year-old son. When the leader of the self-help group she's in tells her of a ritual that could bring the boy back from the dead. With grief and desperation clinging to her, she agrees to try it, not realizing just how harrowing the experience would be. Right away, this film has an interesting narrative plot with the lead, a woman named Cora, played by Anna Camp from Pitch Perfect. Actually, surprising to see her here, recounting events to her police officer sister after being found in a home with blood splattering the furniture. The film follows the action pretty closely while jumping between Cora's story and her sister's reactions as it plays out. I kind of like this, and I kind of don't. On one hand, it completely erases any sense of dread or danger this woman could be put in, since we know she survives at least up until being picked up by the police. But on the other hand, it sets up intrigue with her disheveled state and the blood found. I think it works, ultimately, for this movie at least, and Anna Camp does a wonderful job showing off Cora's broken state of mind. There is one strange choice I noticed though with her acting, where she will have a weird smile on her face, like even if she's screaming in grief or despair. There's a dream sequence at one point where she has to watch a thing happen while helplessly screaming in the middle of the road silently with an odd smile on her face, and it's weird. Again, I'm not sure if that was intentional, but it is a very interesting detail. Her police officer sister, named Bray, played by Jennifer Lafleur, also does a fine job. The two girls actually have a very good chemistry off of each other, and actually feel like sisters bickering over shared grief from their mother and the loss of Cora's child. There's a few good lines, especially in the beginning, that are just wonderful with them talking to each other. The other actor that has a wonderful character is the self-help leader, named Abel, for those who understand religious metaphors. Yeah, come on. Played by John Ailes. He brings a wonderful derangement to an otherwise cliche character, especially with his wild facial expressions later on in the movie. Honestly, I really like these casting choices, and everyone here seems to be having a really fun time making the film. It is a surprisingly small cast as well, actually of only about 10 credited people, but the director really makes it work. Speaking of, this seems to be the director's, Thomas Marchese's, first foray into full-length horror thriller. He's otherwise known for a 2017 documentary called Fallen about police officers killed in the line of duty. From what I can see, he is actually an ex-cop, so that's a pretty fun piece of information. He's worked on plenty of other films as a cinematographer, which might explain some of the more creatively shot scenes involving background details and using blurred characters and actions to the movie's advantage. One odd thing I did notice with his cinematographer look at it, this might actually be the cinematographer. He wasn't the cinematographer for this film, but he was the director. But either way, one thing I noticed is a strange fascination with doorways. There are so many scenes shot pulled back while looking through a doorway. Maybe too many, as it does get a bit distracting, just counting them all. I get the metaphor, but still, I think there's just a bit too much. And speaking of metaphors, get ready for a lot. Most are rather on the nose, like Abel's religious name, other religious imagery, and even a dream sequence or two. There's plenty more that ties into drug and domestic abuse, grooming, and things like sexual battery. It's not too heavy-handed, but it does come off as a bit clumsy here or there, and probably could have used a bit of a tightening up here or there in the script, but that isn't like the film's biggest issue. It's there, it's fine. The biggest issue I have with this film, however, isn't really a nitpick, and it has to do entirely with the story. And that is that this film is way too similar to another film called A Dark Song. A Dark Song is a 2016 slow burn character study that follows a woman undergoing a strange strange ritual with the help of a mentor in order to contact her deceased son. Sound a little familiar. I don't want to say it's a beat for beat like rehash, because the stories are different. They have very different endings, very different starts, and still just such a similar plot. It's too similar not to be related. From Black is shot differently than A Dark Song and ends very, very differently, like I said, but the similarities are just way too close for comfort. And it doesn't help that A Dark Song is easily the better film, unfortunately here. That's not to say that From Black is a bad movie. It absolutely is not. But A Dark Song is ultimately its superior. Although that's subjective, so I don't know. Maybe people would like From Black better because it does have a bit of a faster pace, while A Dark Song is slower and dives more into the intricacies of the ritual and other things going on. You don't really get that much with From Black. It's very much, here's a thing, you gotta watch this happen, whereas A Dark Song is the ritual is the entire movie, and it's incredibly significant. I can't find any interviews with Thomas Macchese saying he took inspiration from A Dark Song. But like I said, the similarities are just way too close for coincidence, at least for me. As it stands though, I do think From Black is a decent time with a good message and some pretty strong couple of twists, but it does need a little bit of fixing. I would change a few things up. I might change the narrative and dream sequences, honestly. I might make it a bit longer. At just 100 minutes, it coincidentally is the exact same length as A Dark Song. I wonder why. That is pretty weird, but sure. From Black could have been a bit longer, and it could have benefited from it by adding more tension and surreal imagery. Either way, I think it's still fine enough movie that accomplishes what it set out to do, albeit in a rather messy way. This is very clearly the director's first foray into this sort of film, and it's a promising start. It's not bad. Definitely needs to be cleaned up a little bit and rehashed, but the acting is pretty solid. The dialogue is okay. It has a couple of moments that are hit or miss, and the visuals are great. I love these visuals, especially with this like demon thing that shows up. You can see it on the poster here. It looks so cool whenever it's on screen. I wish that the movie had a few more effects. There is one that you can see like blurred off in the background, but otherwise everything you see is kind of what you get. There are like one or two pretty cool effects. There's no real gore to speak of, so you shouldn't really freak out, even though like, you know, it starts off with some blood on the ground and on the girl's face, but otherwise it's pretty fine. You just gotta watch for those trigger warnings of, like I said, drug abuse, domestic abuse, probably some more there. Otherwise, I say give this film a watch if you're curious, and then definitely go watch A Dark Song. You could probably do a thing comparing the two. It's been a couple years since I've seen A Dark Song, and I don't really want to compare the two side by side, even though it's really, really hard not to. I encourage other people to do that though, so like I said, if you're curious, watch this one first, consider it like an appetizer, and then dive into A Dark Song, which is a different movie with a very, very, very similar premise. I do like that you can explore movies with similar premises but still different stories. So that alone, I think it's worth it. I don't think you would be disappointed. Ultimately though, I do have to score From Black, and it only gets a 6 out of 10 from me. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around for another one. These Shudder movies are fun. They feel like a lot of indie films get dropped on here, and some of them are pretty good, some of them are not so good, but this one has been, I like this. This is pretty much a lot of middle of the road. I don't want to say it's meh or mid, but it's just okay. It's a good time to like put on the background maybe. I say that for a few horror movies, but this one would fit pretty well as background for like if you're having like a Halloween party or something. There's enough weird ritual visuals and cool designs here or there that, you know, would benefit from being seen, but otherwise the story is just kind of there. It isn't like something that requires you to focus really, really hard like A Dark Song would. Like I said, A Dark Song is a very different movie, but with an incredibly similar premise. So, I don't know. Maybe you guys would like this a lot more. Again, this is the director's first film. He's done short films, but this is the first one that is, you know, a horror thriller. Otherwise, he just has the documentary. So, very much a beginning director kind of getting his feet wet. And I commend that. That's awesome. Can't wait to see more of your stuff, dude. Impress me. Anyway, what do you guys think? Did you like this? Do you think it needs to be a little changed? Do you prefer a dark song? Have you seen a dark song? Tell me about it in the comments. And then don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a video. I have a Twitter. It's on screen. Follow me. And yeah, that's it. Have a great day, and if you're not, have a better one. See ya. I'm just a ghost in your stereo, the fading memory of a shipwreck in the undertow. You're just a lost song, and I'm just a ghost in your stereo.